Welcome to today's lesson, students. Our lesson is about finding a character's traits. That's our goal today, is to be able to find the traits of a character. And your success criteria, things that you need to do to succeed, are: I know the difference between the character's feelings and their traits. I can record my notes about a character in a graphic organizer, and I can find a trait that is true about the character. Today's lesson will start with Miss Smeckens, who will teach about traits. You'll learn that from her, and then together you and I will take some notes about a character and try to infer or use our background knowledge about the world to understand a trait together. We're going to fill in the gap in our understanding of the character from the text with a trait.
Hello, this is Mrs. Smeckens, and we've been working on tracking the details of a single character. Authors develop characters throughout the whole story, and as a reader, we need to collect all the details about a single character from the beginning to the end of the story. We collect details like, what did that character do? What did that character say? How does that character think or feel? And the reason we do this is to better understand the characters, better understand the story, and learn from the characters. Okay, and one of the things we can learn about a character after we've read the story and collected the details from tracking. One of the things we can do as a reader is step back and analyze the details we collected. And not just retell what the character did, said, and thought, but tell you even more about the character. We can tell you the character's trait. Character traits are the character's personality, what they're like on the inside. Now, authors don't tell us. They don't come right out and give us a green reading voice detail and tell us a character trait. They don't. No, they imply it. And they expect that readers will collect all of the details and then be able to determine, assess, infer the character trait, the character's personality. Okay, so now let's make sure we know what a character trait is. Character trait is how the person is on the inside. Okay, it's not just how they act, it's how they act all of the time. And sometimes when I say a personality trait is how the person is on the inside, we get that confused with feelings. Okay, I'm not talking about feelings. No. We already looked at how the character feels at different parts on different pages, what he thinks and feels. We've already got those details. Now, the author isn't going to tell you the character trait, the personality trait. You have to infer it. You have to figure it out. So let me kind of define feelings versus traits, show you some examples, and then bring you back to how do you figure this out? Okay. And so I'm going to start first with, okay, so feelings, let's look at the F in feelings and the TTR in traits. Feelings, traits. All right. Feelings are fleeting, which means they come and go. Feelings fly in one page and fly out another. You can have a feeling on one page as a character and then a different feeling on the next. This one fades. But traits are tried and true. Remember what we're learning to do. We've been collecting details, tracking a single character across the whole text. But once you do that, then you can step back and say, and his character trait and his personality across the whole text, tried and true. He had this personality trait in the beginning. He had this personality trait in the middle. He had the personality trait at the end. It's tried and true. It doesn't change. His personality trait is blank. And so, gosh, coming up with character trait or personality trait is hard. You have to do it after you read, after you really study a character, then you kind of come up with this, I think his personality is blank, all right? But it's throughout the whole text. Feelings are just for a certain page or paragraph. Traits are all the time, the whole text or most of the text. Okay, so that, again, feelings come and go. They're temporary. They change. But traits are permanent. Traits stay the same. So when we're asked, how would you describe this character in terms of a character trait? We mean, what details What did the author tell us about this character that tells us what they're like at the beginning, in the middle, and the end? And it's the same. It's the same. A lot of things change in a story. Okay, a lot of things, problems get solved and settings change and time changes. I know, but a character trait doesn't change. The character is the same way at the beginning, in the middle, and the end if we're talking about his personality. So it's the same, it's permanent, it doesn't change. Let's look at something else. Feelings, you can go to a certain part and say he feels like this, he feels like this, he feels like this. But in a trait, you can find lots of different details to prove his personality. And those details all support one personality, the same personality, beginning, middle, and end. Okay, now let's take a minute to look at some examples of what character traits are, some actual words. But let's first notice that feeling words are little, simple, little, easy words. Mad, sad, glad, happy, nervous, excited. Okay, these are just, I can feel like that, and then 10 minutes later I can be crying, right? They come and go, they change. I can feel one way on this page, and then on the next page, the character feels something else. But traits don't change. And traits, I'm telling you right now, are the big words, the big vocabulary words. And I'm going to show you a list, and I can guarantee you know many of these words. You just don't use them in your everyday because you talk about how you feel right now. And traits are how you are most of the time. All right, see that difference? So let's zoom in and look at the left side here. Feelings: happy, sad, proud, bored, frustrated, angry, nervous, confused. That's just right now. Whatever you're doing right now makes you feel like that. But traits are all the time, tried and true. I'm always friendly. I'm always loyal. I'm always dependable. I'm always serious. I can watch a movie and I'm serious. I can play a video game and I'm serious. I can do my homework and I'm serious. Some people are just serious all the time, right? It's not that they're never happy. They can be happy, but their go-to inside personality is pretty serious. Do you see the difference between feelings and traits? Okay. And so this list is going to be powerful. You've got to start to use those words. You got to add those into your vocabulary as a reader, because readers don't just collect feelings from different pages of the text and what the character says and does, but they can then look at all of that and put them together and come up with one of these big trait vocabulary words, okay, to really describe a character. Now, you can have more than one character trait. For example, if we were looking at Mrs. Mrs. Smeckens as a character, she's pretty enthusiastic. I'm pretty woo-woo-woo about almost anything else I do. I mean, I could be at church and I'm woo-woo-woo. I can be teaching and I'm woo-woo-woo. I can be cleaning my house and I'm woo-woo-woo. I'm just an enthusiastic person, okay? I'm also, though, you can be more than one trait. I'm also pretty athletic. I'm a pretty good athlete in almost any sport, and I'm willing to try, and I'm pretty athletic, okay? I'm also hoping that people think that I'm dependable. I feel like I'm dependable. You say, can you be here at this time? I will be. You say, can you get this, bring this, make this? I do it. I am dependable. And again, it's not just once. It's all the time. Character traits are all the time, all right? Now, character traits aren't always positive. If we looked back at that list, they're not all positive. Look at that: conceited, defiant, rude, selfish, right? Some of these are not good things. Yeah, all traits aren't positive, all right? We sure hope to have positive traits, but we all have some negative ones. I do. I'll tell you some of mine. I can be loud and rambunctious, and that's not a good thing because I tend to be loud and rambunctious all the time. And so it bothers some people. And so it's not necessarily a good thing to be, all the time. I also, and sometimes like, come on, let's go, hurry. I'm impatient. Yeah, sometimes I'm just like, why aren't you getting this? Let's go, come on, get this done. Let's go over here, come on. That's not a good thing, is it? And I'm not impatient just sometimes. I'm impatient a lot. It's not a good thing, but it's pretty typical. I've got to really work to not be like that. I have to really work not to be rambunctious because my tendency, my go-to inside, I'm a loud, rambunctious, somewhat impatient person. See what I mean? Okay, so now as we learn about character traits, I want us to understand that it's what is the same about the character. When we add up all of these details that we tracked and collected, what is a personality, a word we can use to describe the character that kind of fits the character across the whole text? That's what we're talking about. Character traits are the whole text fits this. There's evidence all over the text to fit this, okay? And so authors don't tell you character traits. Nope, they tell you details. They give you details. Is this looking familiar? Your reading voice collects details, tracks details. What details? What the character does, says, and thinks. But the reader has to put those details together and think about them in order to come up with a character trait. A character trait is an inference. Authors don't tell it to you. You have to infer it. Authors imply it. They give you hints and clues. You got to figure it out. That's what readers do. So that means in order to go past just collecting details stated in the text, we're going to need Mrs. Linder's silhouette head. We're going to have to put details together in order to figure out a character's personality, a character's trait. Let me add up here in the neck what we're shooting for, we're striving for, what we're looking to work on. And that is to take all of these details, put them together, and figure out the character's personality, because the author never tells us. Okay, where do we get the details? What details will help us? The same ones we use to track. It's the same details. You're going to look at what the character did, all of the actions for what the character did. Then you want to look at all of the details in terms of what did the character say. You also want to consider all of the thoughts and the feelings that the character had. All of these will help you as you use your thinking voice, look at all of those clues, and say, this makes me think that. I'm wondering if he's kind of like someone who, and we start to use our thinking voice and find patterns and relationships, and we use our memories, our own self-connections, text-to-self connections to figure this out. All right? You've got to make an inference. Authors do not tell you character traits. They tell you character actions, spoken words, and thoughts, but they imply how a character is most of the time. Character trait. Readers have to figure it out. Okay, let me show you. How the heavens do you do this? Well, I'll tell you right now. All of this information is important. Okay, so everything we did in the last couple lessons where we've been collecting what does a character do, say, and think has been important. We need that information. But now we got to put it on the silhouette head. Now we've got to put details together to figure out a character trait.
So we just learned about traits from Miss Meckins. We learned that traits are tried and true. They don't change. You can use 3 different kinds of strategies for figuring them out. You can look for patterns of behavior. What is the same in the way the person is acting across the text? You can look for your own memories and kind of connect. I remember that someone acted this way and they are like this. Or you can look at relationships between characters and notice that the way the person treats others is the same across the text. You can use that to help you understand a trait. Traits are the same across a set of details from the text. They don't change. So we're looking for a pattern. We're looking for something that's the same about a character across the whole text. So let's try it together. In a few moments, I'm going to have you pause the video and take a screenshot of my graphic organizer. And you are going to use it to take notes about the story of the tortoise and the hare. Under the green text, you'll write things that the hare does, says, and thinks. Okay, those are outside of the little head, we'll see. And under the yellow text, you're going to describe each of those notes. You're going to use those notes to describe the character. Okay? So, and at the bottom, it's our thing that we'll do together. We'll record the trait together. So here's what the graphic organizer looks like. I want you to pause the video and take a screenshot of this, and then I'll show you how to do what I'm asking you to do before I ask you to go do it. Okay? So take a screenshot. All right, and then on this page, excuse me. So on this page, you're going to be taking your screenshot and writing a little bit underneath each of these boxes. So the detail from the text might be something that the hare might do. So you can write do, and you can write makes fun of the tortoise. Okay, and then here is where you can put the stuff that you would be putting in parentheses in your notes. And remember that the notes don't have to be long. We don't want them to fill up this whole page. We really want to keep them small and quick, because as we take notes, our goal is really just to kind of move quickly through the text and not forget things as we write them down. So he makes fun of the tortoise. I would say that that is unkind. And I might use another word that is something like, oh, I don't know, he's a bit of a jerk, right? He's being unkind, a bit of a jerk. Okay, so a 1 or 2 word description of what that note is under the yellow text. All right, so you have your first note written for you there. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this, and then I'm going to show you the video of me reading The Tortoise and the Hare, and I want you to flip back and forth between the video and your notes and make 4 or 5 or 6 notes about the tortoise and the hare. Go ahead and get ready to do that. The tortoise and the hare. The hare was making fun of Tortoise one day for being so slow. "Do you ever get anywhere?" he asked with a laugh. "Yes," replied the tortoise, "and I get there sooner than you think. I'll run you a race to prove it." The hare was amused at the idea of running a race with the tortoise, but just for the fun of it, he agreed. They started their race the next morning. The hare was soon far out of sight, and to make the tortoise feel very deeply how ridiculous it was for him to try to race with the hare, he lay down by the course to take a nap until the tortoise should catch up. The tortoise, meanwhile, kept going slowly but steadily, and time after a time, passed the place where the hare was sleeping. But the hare slept on very peacefully, and when at last he did wake up, the tortoise was near the goal. The hare now ran his swiftest, but he could not overtake the tortoise in time. So, the tortoise won the race. So, you should have gotten a chance to watch that video at this time. If you haven't already done so, take some notes under the green text about the things that the hare did, said, and thought. And then, when you have your notes done, I want you to type under the yellow words, what are the things that makes you feel about the hare? How would you describe the hare? What is he acting, thinking, or saying like? Pause the video and do that now if you haven't already. Here are my notes that I took. For do, I said he made fun of the tortoise. That was the first thing I noticed in my notes, and I thought that was unkind. Say, do you ever get anywhere laughing? And I thought he was trying to hurt the tortoise by saying that. Something that he thought it would be funny to race with the tortoise, and I think that's an arrogant thing to think. That means he's full of himself. Something that he did, he agreed to race. Again, I think that's kind of an arrogant thing to do. His next 2 do's were slept during the race to make tortoise feel ridiculous. I thought that was foolish. And then he kept sleeping and lost the race. I thought that was kind of a lazy thing to do. So I have these descriptions, and now we want to look for patterns. What would be a word that would describe a person who is all of these kinds of things? They're arrogant. They're trying to hurt others. They're unkind, foolish, and lazy. Well, if I'm not able to think of one, I can use this screen here to help me, the one that Miss Smecken shared at the beginning of our video. You might want to pause this and take a screenshot so that you can use this on your activity today that you will do. But these are all traits, okay? We can look for some negative traits, some bad traits, and see if any of them match our ideas. So things like bashful, insecure, I don't think so. He's not really a shy character or weak. But we could say he's something like a bully. Okay, let's take a look and see if bullies are all of these things. Bullies, unkind, foolish often, definitely trying to hurt, definitely arrogant, and a bully could be lazy. So I'm going to say that my inference is that this character is a bully. Go ahead and put that on my slide. A bully. And that is a trait that I think the hare in this story has. He's a bit of a bully. Okay, so that's your goal today, is to write some notes and describe what you wrote. How is this character behaving? How is this character talking or thinking? And then you will try to figure out the trait. So let's take a look at the exit ticket for today. Share a screenshot or picture of your notes on Tortoise and the Hare with your teacher. That's the thing that you wrote up here. If you've done that before 9 in my class, you can share it on Zoom, and I'd love to see it and talk to you about it. If you haven't, then at least email me if it's after 9, okay? And there will be an assignment up about what to do next on Canvas.